most responsible for the widespread belief in this doctrine was a man named John Calvin. Now, John Calvin's teachings are oftentimes summarized in an acrostic, the word TULIP, T-U-L-I-P. T stands for total hereditary depravity. The U in TULIP stands for unconditional election. L, limited atonement. I, irresistible grace. And P is the perseverance of the saints. Now, the first point, the T, total hereditary depravity, carries with it the concept of inheriting the sin of Adam. Total, absolute. Hereditary, you inherit it genetically. Depravity, you see the word depraved, it's sin. It's the belief that mankind is born completely sinful. And today, many, if not most, of the Christian denominations in existence have been deeply affected by John Calvin, what we call Calvinism. Some people today think that they see this doctrine of inherited sin even in various passages of the Bible, such as the one we started with, Ephesians chapter 2 and verse 3. Now again, that verse says that we were by nature the children of wrath, or the objects of God's wrath. And they will say that this passage proves that we are born that way, and that sin is not a willful violation of God's word. Baptist writer B.H. Carroll contended that this passage, Ephesians 2:3, he says, knocks the bottom out of the thought that sin consists in the willful transgression of a known commandment. He argued that this passage is an allusion to original sin. But friends, this is absolutely not what this verse is teaching. You know, the argument has to do with the phrase by nature. We were by nature the children of wrath. What does that phrase by nature really mean? Now, they would say that it means that you were born that way. They would say that it means that man inherited this sinful nature. But you know, this Greek phrase doesn't have to mean that at all. In fact, the Greek word here can mean of long-standing practice. One version translates it this way: you were by custom children of wrath. In fact, if you write in your Bible, next to the word nature, I would suggest you write habitual practice. It means it was their nature to sin. Why? Not because they were born that way, but that's the way they've always lived. In fact, let me give you an example of this in modern usage. Maybe somebody says, "Hey, where's Joe tonight?" Someone else responds, "It's Saturday night, he's probably drunk. That's his nature." They don't mean that he was born that way. They don't mean since he was a baby he's been getting drunk on Saturday night. They mean that's the way he always does things. That's his custom. That's his practice. Now, another passage that sometimes people go to in the Bible that they believe justifies or teaches the idea of inherited sin is Psalm 58:3. It says, the wicked are... So, where do people get the idea that we have a sinful nature? Well, they get it from John Calvin. They get it from modern-day preachers who preach Calvinism. They get it from Calvinistic translations of the Bible, such as the NIV. And here's one more source that you might not expect. Some people...
Now, 1 John 3:4, it says, whosoever committeth sin transgresseth also the law, for sin is the transgression of the law. And see, he ended on one of those other segments talking about Psalms 58:3, which is pretty much describing the Edomites. But this probably too is what prompted him to make this video, because he's hearing that the Edomites is inheriting being wicked from their forefathers, because that's the plan of the Most High. See, it was according to his plan, like Romans 9, to make these Edomites the adversary of God so he can war with them, according to Exodus 17. But when it comes to the Israelites, see, when it comes to the Israelites, they are not born to be wicked, to be disobedient, to be contrary to the law. They're born to follow that law and be the people to issue out the law. They was born to be the priests and the kings to give forth that law. The lawgivers. That's what they was born for. So that's the whole situation that shows you they was not born sinners. Because he say they try to go to Psalm 51 when David said he was conceived in sin. His mother conceived him in sin. That was his mother conceiving him while she was breaking the law. What they got to do with sin being inside of you? You see, it's all inside of you and all this kind of stuff. Now, Romans 3 and verse 2, I'm going to get straight to the point and say, what is the advantage? Why is it an advantage of being a Jew or being an Israelite? It says in verse 2, much in every way, chiefly because that unto them it were committed the oracles of God. See, it was committed to the Israelites to be the lawgivers. So he didn't create the Israelites to deal with sin and to be sinful. He created the heathens that they was gonna be sinful because they don't have the law and they don't know nothing about the law. So they not gonna have no inclination to do anything according to the law. See, they just stuck in the world of doing things outside of the law. That's what's going. That's why the Israelites have an advantage, because the law gonna upgrade them and make them do things according to God's ways in His Spirit. See, that's why He say that the people of the nations are nothing in Isaiah 40. Isaiah 40, he say they are nothing, they are less than nothing, because they don't understand the law. He didn't give them the law. He gave the law to the Israelites. That's Psalms 147. See, he didn't give it to no other nation. He gave it to the Israelites. Only they knew the righteousness and the right things to do according to God. These other nations didn't know these things. So they was born into a world where nobody understood the law, understood the righteousness of God. They wasn't even born with sin inside of them. They just don't have the law. So they gonna transgress the law because they don't know it. They don't got nothing to go by. See, they gonna eat rats and monkeys and all this bat soup. They gonna do all that crazy stuff because they don't have the law. So they born into a world of sin. And they're going to have sin dwelling in them because they're going to practice it. They practice it because the law is nothing but a way of living and a way to practicing its practices. You know, just like he say in Judges 5:11, we will rehearse or practice the law, the righteousness. See, we're going to rehearse the righteous acts. We're going to practice the righteous acts. And so nobody is born with sin and all this crap. No, by nature. You see who created it. These red dragon Edomites who don't understand the Bible. They created that mess. And so that's why I went and got one of them. Because, you know, our peoples like to listen to the dragon. And so they broke it down and showed you that they created that crap and they promoted it through their Bibles, see, and it spread all through the so-called Christianity who don't know the scriptures. And so when you get the real understanding is that the law is the whole thing that dictates righteousness, and the nations was born into a society that didn't practice the law. Only the Israelites was born into the society that was practicing the law. Now, it talked about the ones, the lost Israelites. They had a law that was inside of that they was practicing, and they didn't understand that they was Israelites until when they found out, when Paul went and told them, y'all Israelites. Then they said, okay, we got to come back to the law, because now we Israelites, we got to live by the law and be righteous. And that's the whole purpose of the situation. Nobody is born with sin inside of them like they possessed or something, or they got some kind of change of their DNA done changed in a certain way, and they just gotta sin. Because that's what Jehovah wickedness push. That you gonna lie, you gonna steal and cheat and everything. You just got to keep begging for forgiveness, because you was born with sin inside of you, dwelling inside of you. Ain't nothing you can do about it. You're gonna be subject to the devil's push on you. Whatever he trying to push on you, you gonna be weak to it, because you was born a sinner. See, Adam started it, and now you inherited that from Adam. See, that's the crap that they pushing from a red dragon Edomite. See, Malachi 1:4, the Edomites are the border of wickedness. They the perfect example of wickedness, and being a liar, being a murderer, being a cunning hunter. See, that's where the wickedness is coming from, because they the perfect example of it. And he created them for that purpose. Romans 9:12. That's the purpose of Esau, to show everybody that this is what wickedness is all about. Because in the new kingdom, it's going to be an everlasting rulership of the Israelites, the ones who created to give forth the law. Isaiah 2:2, chapter 2, verse 2. They was created to give forth the word, give forth the law of the Lord. And so this is the understanding of sin. Not know you born with sin and you can't do nothing about it. No, once you learn that law, that's why it says no more sacrifice for sin. Let me get that. Hebrews 9 and 9. Hebrews 10 and 26. Hebrews 10 and 26. For if we sin willfully after we receive the knowledge of the truth, meaning the knowledge of the law, there remaineth no more sacrifices for sin. See, you're not born with no sin. It's not something that you can't defeat. Once you learn it, that's how you defeat the sin, because you learned the law and you're supposed to go by it. Now, Yahweh got rid of the law of sacrifices, where we sacrificing for sins and bringing sheep and cows and all that. We gonna be in captivity as the Israelites. We ain't gonna be in a position to do those things. You sitting around killing animals, they'll take you to jail. And so he gave us an understanding of we have to rehearse the righteous acts to the best we can in this captivity. See, we have to have our minds baptized and immersed in his word, and that's going to enable us to be able to know and have wisdom to know what not to do, and a deep fear for the Lord to know not to do something that's going to be unpleasing to him. But this stuff, we born with sin. That's a lie from the so-called Satan, the devil, who are the Edomites that the Bible speaks of, the so-called white man. See, and this is the proof by his own people's telling you they created that crap and pushed it. It was not in the Bible. You can't find it in the Bible. They go to 2 or 3 verses to try to prove it, and it's not proof. It's a bold-faced lie. But I'm going to leave it there. All praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah, Ba'ashem Rekakadash. Double honor to the elders pushing the truth. Peace to the elect, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, descendants of slaves scattered around the globe. Our kingdom is at hand. Shalom.